morning, family. Good morning. Good morning. It is spring. It's spring now. We're here. We're here, and I thank you for those who will join later and those who join now while we're having a chat this morning for just being with us as we talk about times like these, a mental health chat. My name is Jamie Johnson. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I am the owner of Seeds of Love LLC, a mental health coaching, counseling, and education space. And occasionally, I have discussions with providers, but also just sometimes I'm chatting about mental health, our faith, and being mentally and spiritually well. And this morning, I had the pleasure of chatting again with a colleague, Miss Yvonne Brooks, who is also a therapist in the field and seeing all that's going on in the trenches. She is preparing for a big leap in her career, so we're excited about that. And I'm just excited to talk to her this morning a bit about what she's seeing and just have a chat because we are in a time where mental health is at an all-time, we're going to say we're in a crisis, right? There's a lot going on. And then with the state of our nation, we are also experiencing a lot of heightened behaviors, a lot of heightened challenges. And so we want to make sure that we're talking and sharing and helping in whatever way that we can help. And so I just want to allow first Yvonne to start. You can share a little bit about yourself and how you're, whatever you'd like to share about yourself going in, but just kind of what you're seeing in the field and your thoughts, and we'll just chat about that.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Ms. Jamie, for having me on. And welcome to Spring, our Seeds of Love family. Super happy to be here today. And I'd love to definitely share what I'm seeing. And I'll start off by just sharing a little bit about me. I am a clinician. I do direct care, individual families, children, you name it. I see a pretty vast demographic of individuals. And I've been doing this. I'd say I have about 22 years of experience just because I did some work while I was in the military, lots and lots of work with people directly serving our soldiers. And now I've transitioned into more of the civilian sector. And so now I am caring for folks in our community. And so I've got quite a bit of experience in the field of mental health. And so this is definitely I say it's my passion because I feel like I was definitely put on earth to do just this. It always touches me whenever I'm able to sit and just hold space for someone who may be going through a challenge that sometimes I'm really familiar with, but other times I'm not as familiar with at all. And I just think that sometimes it takes a special person with a special skill set to be able to hold space for someone who may not necessarily have the same background as you or may not have the same experiences as you, but you're still able to sit with that person and just still kind of walk with them through whatever their particular situation is at that moment. And so that's where my heart is. And so I'm particularly happy to be able to serve in my community that way. So that's a little bit about me, but I want to definitely share and just kind of jump into it. If it's okay to just share,
Absolutely, jump in.
Yes, let's just jump into it. I think that, with everything that's going on in our world, all we can do is just breathe, because it's so much, and it's almost like it changes from like hour to hour, minute to minute. You might wake up and here's a headline. By the time you go lay down, there's another headline, and it's like everything is changing so rapidly.
Yes.
And so in thinking about and preparing for today, I tried to put, kind of the broad gamut of things into kind of like themes. All right. The themes that I was able to come up with is that individuals, and from what I can see, and then, even with talking with some other of our colleagues, themes that I saw or kind of stood out to me is that individuals are in what we call like economic distress, right? And
Mm,
so,
mm-hmm.
um, thinking about how um, back in the day, we used to say, okay, go to school, go to college, get a good job, buy a house, like all of these things, right, to kind of set yourself up for what would be optimal, or what
Yeah.
would be successful, for the American standard. Um, Not as easily achieved in today's climate as it used to be back then. And oh, by the way, if you do achieve it, nobody says that you're really going to snag that, six-figure job just because you've got a degree.
Mm-hmm.
These are the times where things become a lot more unpredictable, if you will.
Yes.
We talk about, like, just recently, gas prices soaring up, and tr- talk about trying to go on a weekend getaway. You're probably,
Right.
that's just a weekend, and so. Where do we get that relief, and so people are working, and even like jobs like Uber and Lyft. I mean, it's like, hey, we're just trying to kind of pull from
Mm-hmm.
wherever we can. I think some of the TSA workers I read are having to take some of those jobs just to supplement because there's a government shutdown. So even though they might have really great careers, but they are still trying to pull and like squeeze a turnip to make sure that their ends are they can make those ends meet. And so
Absolutely.
the economic stressors, right? And then the other part was, and there were three things that I came up with. So social polarization.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Social polarization involves us almost like being so connected that we're withdrawn. Maybe because of being so overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm.
maybe because there's so much being demanded of us,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us are probably trying to juggle family and taking care of our senior parents, or just trying to, like I said, working to make ends meet, that you kind of become so overstimulated that you just, at the end of the day, you just want to go home.
Yeah.
You just want to close
Mm-hmm.
the door.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have family, sometimes it's not just a matter of closing the door, because once you get off one job, you're stepping right back into another role.
Yes.
And so there's almost like this social polarization, to where you just don't really want to be bothered. And I know that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it sounds bad. Even when I say it, it sounds like, "Ugh, okay," but
Mm.
sometimes that's the real feeling. You just don't want to be
Yes.
bothered. And if being bothered with other people seems to be complicated, with social media, or if it's drama, a little bit of tension in the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
then you
Mm-hmm.
almost kind of just want to just, I don't have time for it. I don't want to deal with it.
Right. Right.
Um, and then let's talk about the obvious, is the political instability.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna come to that. Let me, even with the what you're mentioning with social polarization, and also the, all of the responsibilities, the fatigue, um, and you mentioned, getting off a job and then stepping into another role. I'm even thinking about, not even stepping into another role, but the likelihood that there's some other type of job that has to be done, right?
Mhm,
For pay,
mhm.
because of the financial stressors, right? The number
Yes.
of people that have not one but two jobs, or three jobs, or are juggling, full time, and then this kind of what considered like side hustle in order to, to make ends meet, and then to try to engage with community and engage with family and provide, I'm hearing, where's the capacity for all of this right now? Where's the capacity to navigate all of the responsibility without the resource? That's something that I feel like you're bringing. Without the
Yes.
right resource, I have the capacity to juggle all of this when the resources are low and the
Mhm.
expectations or the cost is high.
Right.
And many of us are not, and we're hearing this dialogue, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I like I
No,
like
no,
this.
this is good.
Okay. Um, we're hearing this dialogue of readiness to walk away, right? I
Mm,
think that's why the growth of the of what is it, off the grid living,
yeah,
and finding other means to live is happening because people are wanting to walk away.
yeah.
What can I let go of? What can I drop and
Mhm.
just go? Because I do not have the capacity to navigate, to manage, to try to um,
Keep up, trying to keep up.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. And whether, and I think this is huge because it's not just it's crossing racial lines, um, it's crossing financial lines. These aren't individuals who have been consistently poor that are having this conversation.
Right.
These are individuals that have been struggling in that area, have been consistently paycheck to paycheck, or don't know how to or don't know if they're going to make ends meet, to those who have been uh, considered previously middle class,
Mhm.
to that are no
Right.
longer middle class because that bar is moved, right? To those who make a little bit more and can sustain, but they're sustaining by now still what seems like paycheck to paycheck, right? They're living with less because
Mhm.
everything is costing more. And so I think about it in the sense of, having capacity to even engage on a
Yes.
healthy, in a healthy way with other people. Um, Although there might even be the desire to, but
Yes.
do I have, what do I have? What do I have to even
Right.
to
And
give?
and that is a really good point too, because as you're talking, I'm just thinking about when you think about that polarization aspect, you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what's dividing us and how it's making us so different from each other, or what's the perception of us being so different from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because even with some individuals, and I've had a pleasure of talking to some of these individuals who may not necessarily be struggling financially, but because they are so focused on their financial or their career,
Mm-hmm.
they're losing their families.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're losing a grip at home, or they're losing a grip with the people who mattered at one point,
Mm-hmm.
who were really important to them at one point. And then now they find themselves like it's almost like they've been on a deployment, for a few years, because they've been
Yes.
so career focused, so
Mm-hmm.
driven, and they haven't really invested time in the relationships, that these relationships have kind of fallen apart a little bit, and kind of gotten a little distant, and
Mm-hmm.
there's disconnect, and so now there's that polarization.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a lot, as it's a lot to navigate. But also, even in our field, I don't even know that the support is available as much as it's needed, or in the ways that it's needed right now. Like, are we able to meet the needs, or even are they even, reaching out to us? Because we can talk about insurance all day,
Right.
um, which is supposed, it is a barrier whether or not
Mhm.
people want to say it or not.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Insurance is a barrier, and whether or not they can receive the support that they need. And
Mhm.
so, are we even able to meet the need at this point, and assist people at the rate that is
Yeah.
needed?
Yeah.
um, and I think we've even seen a decline in those who are seeking services,
Absolutely.
right? So,
Absolutely. Mhm.
less resource, but also the resources to connect with us
Right.
are not even,
They're not adequate.
they're not adequate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not adequate.
Yeah.
And and then the individual who is wanting this, needing the services, and open to it
Mhm.
also, um, now becomes, and that kind of goes to the isolation, right? And
Mhm.
and speaks to the isolation, because they can't access what they know that they need. They
Right.
can't access in the way that would help them, the individual. It
Absolutely.
serves a purpose for supposedly the overall. It serves a purpose because it's in place, but is it meeting the need of the individual?
Right.
And the answer is no.
No. And it's we're not even I see a lot of providers like popping up and having their own, kind of um agency or companies like I do, but also offering different programs and things of that nature. Um and I think it is useful, but there's still a disconnect there, right? There's still a
Mhm.
disconnect for some reason. And we can talk about the AI and the use of chat GPT in the mental health space with a lot of individuals now. um, and that is definitely being marketed in a way, I'd say.
Right,
uh,
because it's almost like that's a workaround, so
mm-hmm,
if I can't access it over here, I'll work around it and access it over there, but,
yeah,
then becomes, well, is the AI helping you? Is it serving the person? You
mm-hmm,
know? And
yeah,
and in some cases, in times like these, in the
right,
now, it's serving just fine,
mm-hmm,
and because I can't afford to pay that copay, I'll
exactly,
just do this until something else happens where, maybe I can get back into the office. But for
right,
right now, it's serving its purpose.
absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm.
so we could talk about that a
I
little bit,
know.
but I want
We
you
can we
to
definitely we definitely
I
could.
want you to be able to get to your next point. Yes.
Right, but I think that, like, talks like these are really important because it helps to give a voice to,
Yes.
to those individuals who may be in that place, and they may feel like, "Okay, nobody else really understands." But I think that, providing, platforms like this help us to reach and help them see that, no, you're not alone in that.
Right.
There are other
Right.
people. There are, we stand right here with you, you know.
Yes. Absolutely.
And then talking about that political instability. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the
Mm-hmm.
third theme that I've kind of talked about, or have had sessions where it's, we talk about it being taboo, right, in our profession. It's a taboo to talk about religion and politics, okay? Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't get
However,
into that. However, this is a part of people's everyday lives. So how can we not
absolutely.
talk about it? This is something that
Absolutely.
it is directly affecting our clients. It's directly affecting our community. And so how can we not talk about it? How can we leave that part out of the conversation when this is, absolutely a part of them and who they are and how they live, how we
Right.
live. I'm not going to say they. I'm say we. How we
Yes.
live. So in thinking about that, as we nurture, our clients in this way, and trying to provide some sense of, normalcy, like that,
Mm-hmm.
what they're going through and what they're experiencing, what they're thinking about is not, it's not off in left field. You're not just, kind of, you're not wrong for feeling the way that you feel. Even sometimes if it's that they're angry with the services and the systems that are designed to be there for them,
Yes.
and when it's not meeting your need, then absolutely you have every right to be angry and to be upset and to express your frustration about what's going on. and
Right.
um and I think that that has been something that, individuals, they come in, and I welcome that exploration. I
Mm-hmm.
welcome them to talk about that because we are dealing with times of instability. We don't know
Yeah.
what we don't know.
Right.
And there are individuals who are in power who also may not know the full impact of the decisions that they're making and how it's affecting, you know, little small me.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
and so those
Absolutely.
are the 3 areas that I have been, um, seeing, and it's kinda almost been a common theme. And there are some sub-themes, like when we talk about, the, economic stressors, or when we talk about
Mm-hmm.
the access to certain services, access to certain, supports, right? One thing that stood out in particular, is we as clinicians, sometimes we don't always have the answer.
Correct.
And that
Correct.
I think has been a that has been so, of course, okay, you come in for depression, anxiety, okay, we can peel back those layers. We can really, okay, you've got some work related stress, we can peel back that. And when someone comes in and says that they are in chronic pain,
Hmm.
and this is pain that they have every day, and the doctors have said this is all I can do because this is all that your plan covers, or because they didn't address it 20 years ago, or all of these barriers, all of
Yeah.
these things that prevent them from getting the care that they need
Yes.
to help them have a better quality of life. As a clinician, sometimes even I'm thinking in times like these, what do I say? How do I help this person? And sometimes the answer is that you say nothing at all. You just allow them the space to really share how they feel.
Right.
But I still want to say something. I
Right.
still want to have something to offer them. My heart still goes out to them, and my heart and my mind is still asking me, what can we do?
Right.
What can I how can I help? And
Hmm.
in the most sincerest fashion, I'm still trying um, to figure out how over time, how can I help impact this person in a positive way, despite what they've experienced, with all of these other systems.
Absolutely. And I think excellent point first, because I think there is this understanding and this language. We are technically the expert, right? We're the expert in the field in which we've studied, right? And
Hmm.
so people are coming to us as an expert in our field
Right,
to for answers.
right,
But part of being a good clinician, a really solid clinician, is being able to say, you know what, I I don't know.
right.
I don't know. To be able to model the expression of limitation, right? You have limits as a client. I have limits as a clinician. I
Hmm.
have limits even as the expert in what I know and what I'm able to do. And sometimes all I have is the ability to provide space for you
That's it.
to walk through this thing. And sometimes we, if we're honest, we stumble upon an answer as we're walking through this thing together.
Okay,
And we're like,
come on
oh,
now.
okay, okay. Or because we're women of faith, that sometimes that download comes. And we're like,
Yes.
okay, wait a minute, let's look at that, right?
Hmm.
And so, but I think that's a valid point, and people need to realize that is that yes, we may know a lot, yes, we may have a lot of training or and a lot of skills and taking the test and have the years of practice, but there are moments where we're just like we're up against a wall too, right? This does not seem to be panning out.
Hmm.
Um, and so there was a thought that I had when you talk about what people are up against. And
Hmm.
I'm always going to bring faith. I'm always going to bring Jesus into the conversation.
Absolutely. Okay.
Um, because I feel like we're at that place where we have to remember we've been at this place.
That's right.
But he was a disruptor of oppressive systems,
Mm.
right? We think of him as savior, we think of him as father,
Hmm.
but we don't see the fact that a lot of what he came to do was tell people this is oppressive.
That's
This is
right.
not love. What
That's
you're
right.
doing is not taking care of people.
Yeah.
And I'm calling you to take care of people, to serve,
Hmm.
to love, right?
Hmm.
These systems that you have in place where people have to pay this and do that, and, you know, um, it's oppressive. It's keeping them from being able to move forward in me.
Hmm.
It's keeping them bound, right?
Hmm.
These rules that you have that you'll never truly meet,
Right.
right? And so even the systems we have in place now, there's a whole lot of hoops. There's a whole lot of we jump through a whole lot of hoops in order for people to get help.
Right.
And it goes back again to I did not call y'all to create all of these hoops to help people.
Mm.
You are supposed to help people, love people, serve
Right.
people.
Right.
And I understand, logically the mindset that says, well, we have to take care of our families too. Like we have to get paid to do da, 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 da. I got that.
Right.
But definitely those of us that are people of faith, our our resource is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Our help is not the same.
Right.
Right? It comes from a different place.
Right.
And so when we get into the place of our assignment, we're cared for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our needs are met.
Yes.
And so I think we have to get back into position
Yes.
wherever we're called. We happen to be called into a space of mental health and some other spaces too.
Right.
Um, but how do we help without being becoming a barrier, right?
Mm.
Without and how do we start to remove some of those barriers
Right.
um, for people? And I think part of it is having these free conversations, right? Just talking about it. Let's bring resources and make things available and have things in the community, because we've got to get back to that. Virtual is here, but it's we've got to get back to like
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
Let's share space together. Physically,
yes,
let's share space together. Yes.
absolutely. At least for a little bit. We
Yes.
gotta connect. Um, but I think we've lost sight of what we're supposed to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
and we've gotten a little bit focused on our personal success. And I
Yeah.
say we as in a broad,
Yes.
not just licensed clinical social workers. I'm talking about all of
Right.
us
As society.
as a
Absolutely.
society. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And where we started out, our history is in helping the poor.
Right.
Our roots are in helping the orphan and the widow.
Right.
Our
Right.
roots are godly, actually,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in times like these, it's my insight says it's forcing us back to the place of our roots.
That's right. That's right.
We've in part of they didn't have they whether they were bringing a blanket or a biscuit,
Yeah.
right?
It wasn't so scientific. It was just basic human to human
Yes,
need. Like we were basically finding where is the need and how can we make the resource meet the need.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we've made it so sterile to the point where, well, you got to have access, you got to have a ride to come to me, you got to have insurance, you got to have
Mhm,
you got
mhm,
all the things.
mhm.
And with resources dwindling and people, I don't have a ride to get you to you. I don't have a copay to
I
get
can't
to
use
pay
the
you.
computer because it's so advanced in technology
Yeah.
now that I don't even know how to click this stuff.
Yes. And most of the time, if I am using something, I'm using my phone,
That's right.
right? And if I'm using my phone, there tends to be, and we know this from just experience of virtual sessions, there's a lot
Mhm.
of distraction if you're using your phone for
Absolutely.
there's a lot of distraction. You know,
Right.
we hear the buzz and we see the
Clicking.
your notifications, right? We don't see your notifications, but we see you moving your notifications,
Right.
right? And we see you kind of pause because we know you're reading something and what
Right.
trying to talk to it, right? We can tell,
Right.
it's
And
okay.
oh, by the way, I'm on a lunch break and I really have to get this out because I can't wait until
Right,
next week until I can see you again. And
exactly,
all of the
right.
things.
And I'm sitting in my car with poor reception, and we're
Mm,
saying, okay, can you say that again? Okay, one more. And they're holding the phone up to the window and trying.
right.
Right, there are these barriers now, you know. And while virtual, like we said, has been great,
Mhm,
there's still some limitations. And then I'm not in. People are gonna say, well, we can't give away stuff for free. We have to work too. I'm
mhm.
not saying that we become free therapists.
Yeah.
Now, if we were living in an environment where healthcare, complete healthcare that included mental health services, were
Mhm.
free,
Right.
it'd be a whole different ball game.
Yeah, that'll be different. Mhm.
Whole different ball game, because that means we would still get paid and the barrier would be removed,
Right.
right? But that is not where we live.
It's not our reality.
Right. It is not our reality. And
Yeah.
so oftentimes we have these chats. But I guess I'm moving into the space of creative solutions. Like, are we
Yeah.
thinking about creative solutions for individuals.
Mhm.
And even if they're not able to make it in, what
Mhm.
are some things we say, let's do these things at home,
Yeah.
right? Do some of these things at home. I know one of the, and if you're comfortable with it, I don't know if you have it in front of you, but you can come back to it. One of the tools you were talking about a few weeks ago when we met
Mhm.
um, was the Johari window,
Yes.
and you use that with some of your clients. And it's not,
Yes.
it's not a new, but it just gives a little. Can you give a little insight on like kind of how you use that? And
Absolutely. Absolutely. So and as a matter of fact, right now I'm using several tools, and these tools, and I hope that they really carry throughout the rest of my career. I don't know if
hmm
it's so prevalent now because I'm kind of studying, and kind of
hmm
I'm engaging with all the things, and so now it's like, oh, okay, I'll just bring this into session and I'll teach about
hmm
this, and so it's almost like it's serving a dual purpose. I'm actually getting a
Yeah.
chance to use the tool and learn about it at the same time, as I'm preparing and presenting to my clients. But Johari Window has been a phenomenal tool for me as of late because I am really just trying to open up that sense of awareness with my clients, and so that way they can see that there's so much about them that they almost are shutting off or closing off to the people around them for whatever reason, a number of reasons, right? And so all of this goes back to, and if you were part of our last podcast when we shared that big theme of connection, all
hmm
right, and how we
hmm
connect to people. And this kind of is almost like piggybacking off of that same concept, using the Johari window to demonstrate self-awareness, right? And then using that same framework and saying, okay, well, now that you have awareness about self, how do you use that in when you connect to others?
Yeah.
And how do you use that as you go about connecting at your job or within your community or with your family? How does that show up? And oh, by the
hmm
way, are you willing to be vulnerable enough with the people who you care about, who are in your life, to hear how they receive you? Because there might be some potential that's untapped that you have no
Yeah.
idea that you demonstrate. You may have some things that you haven't you didn't even really know about yourself, but other people see it in you because,
Yeah.
as we interact with people, interpersonal relationships, we're always observing, we're always
hmm
watching, we're always
hmm
listening, right? And kind of making that's how the brain works, right? We
hmm
receive a stimulus, and then our brain gets a chance to analyze, and that's the beauty of our
Yeah.
our our, our brain, right? That's how it
hmm
works. It analyzes it takes in that information, and then it analyzes it to find out, okay, well, what about this? Can I understand? How can I make the connections, connect the dots, right? And so with people, we're doing the same thing. With our loved ones, we're doing the same thing, friends, right? And
hmm
so I use the Johari window to help them see what they can't see.
Yeah.
And it's always really fascinating when people come back and they're saying, well, I mean, I kind of learned that this is how my friends really see me, and I'm like, okay, what do you think about it?
hmm
And they're like, well, I
hmm
didn't I didn't even really know I possessed that leadership trait, you
Yeah.
know, and just seeing that door open, and then it builds the confidence to say, okay, I think I can do this a little bit longer, or I think I can try to see how I could, ex- extend myself in this area that I maybe had never done before.
Right.
Or let's flip it, because there's always an epiphany,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you learn about, well, I think my friends, are right when they say I am a little bit overbearing,
hmm
or I'm a little controlling, or something like that. And then that now, when you can navigate a little bit better, because now you can restrain from saying it in such a dominant way to where nobody else has a voice, when you're
Yeah.
in group settings. So I think the Johari window it has been a phenomenal tool that I've used, and I used it before when I was working with military families, but
Mhm.
I've never used it this way, just because I just didn't have that capacity. I didn't have that experience. I wasn't in that particular seat back then, but now I'm in the seat where I can really directly impact individuals, and I use it with families as well.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised at how many families are kind of doing the Johari window with each other. They're filling in that part of the quadrant with each other,
Mhm.
and they're just
Mhm.
like, oh, I didn't really realize that that's what I do. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
like, it's one of those, like, we can, and that's when you start to recognize the things that you can change. You,
Yes.
you have the power to change these parts of yourself. And that way, once you adjust and make those adjustments, now you can go, like the elders say, you can go another further knowing this information.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and so here's some other things that I encourage. One of that is one of one of my modalities. And then
Mhm.
and the other thing is, we talk about values so much. In session, we talk about values so much because I think sometimes we've gotten to a point where we've lost track of it. We've lost
Yes.
track of our values.
Yes.
What are the characteristics and traits that make me me? So
Yes.
in times like this, knowing who you are is critical. It's almost like having a pulse. You got to know
Absolutely.
who you are. You've got to know
Got
the
to
strength
know.
that lies within, and
Got to know.
I'll take it back to the spiritual. We've got
Mhm.
to know. We've got to know what operates within us, the
Yeah.
power that we operate on, the gas, the fuel that we operate on. And
Yes.
if we are so out of touch with that, then absolutely every day you wake up, it's going to feel like doom. Absolutely. Every time you look at the
Every
news,
time.
every time you turn your phone on, it's going to feel like, oh, well, what's the point of doing that? Because it's gonna be end up in a negative outcome anyway. But if we understand the power that truly operates within us, if you know that you know that you know what that fuel is, then there's nothing that can stop you.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't want to I don't want to go too deep because I understand we only got a few minutes, but I'm telling you, I
Listen,
mean, we when we
I
get
always make time. You know I'm gonna make time.
right. Right. So
Yes.
I love to talk about values because that's really at the core of who we are. Those are the characteristics, those are the things that I have to continue to remind myself even. I know who I am, and I
Yes.
know what I'm made of. I know the stock that I'm made of. And
Yes.
so
And you have to
having
say that.
yes,
You have
yes,
to say that. Sometimes you have to say that out loud.
out loud.
And I think
Mm,
I'm gonna let you continue.
mhm, mhm.
But I think we've gotten in such a habit of consuming.
Yep.
And I'm guilty of it too, because I say, you know what, you about to take a fast from this
Put it
phone.
away. Put it away.
So we're consuming and we're like, is that me? They're talking about me. Is that me? Am I oh, I do that. Or
Right,
that's where people are like, oh, and they're getting identity
right.
from a 30-second
Technology.
reel. They're getting identity from clips.
Yep. Yep.
And what they don't realize is happening is stripping your identity,
Right.
and it is messing with your focus. I'm talking about
Mhm.
me too. It's messing with my
Okay.
focus. I got to work on it. It ain't
Come
stripped
on.
my identity, but
Come
it,
on. It has the
got to get my
potential
focus
to.
back. Right.
Yes. Right.
Right. And so it's taking away the essence of what God has already placed in there, right?
Right.
And now
That's right.
trying to feed your soul, spirit, and mind,
That's
all of
it.
that, your mind, will, and emotions, right? Your soul is feeding you a different language. And it is
Right.
literally changing the algorithm, right? It's changing your own algorithm. We talk about it in we have this algorithm and my for
Right.
you page and all of
Right.
that feeds me stuff that it has learned that I like to look at,
That's it.
right? And what we have, and I started writing about this and I stopped, and I'm going to get back to it. We have
Yes.
forgotten that there's an algorithm of the Holy Spirit, right? That there
That's
is
right.
that the
That's right.
things that we need to be fed the Holy Spirit already has a plan
Already.
can
Already.
put it in the way that it needs to go in more than a 30-second clip.
That's
But
right.
right, and so we have gotten so far from who we
Mm,
are,
mm,
and
mm.
we don't realize that it's from consuming a lot of what the world is saying we are and we have. Even
That's right.
these I'm a podcaster, but
Hmm.
every podcast should not be consumed,
Yes,
right?
absolutely,
Every and
absolutely.
if you can't listen to things from an observation place,
Hmm.
chew on it and decide if it is accurate,
For
if it
you, ooh,
aligns with for you, if it aligns with your values, if you are a believer, does this align with the word of God?
that's
And
right.
you're just taking it in as truth,
Hmm.
it is literally altering
Yes.
your identity. And
Yep.
so, yes, I gotta
Mhm.
get off my soapbox.
No,
This is
I
good.
understand. I when I say, and we didn't talk about any of
We
this,
didn't
but
talk
we
about
are
this.
we are and but that is the truth, and I think that sometimes we've got to we've got to open that door to talk about it, and that's why I think it's so important as clinicians in times like these.
Yes.
We don't have to go so deep off into, speaking over our clients' heads.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be that deep. Really, let's
Yes.
get back to the core of who
Yes.
we are and
Simple.
understand what shapes our identity, what
Yes.
shapes our, and what drives our strength.
Absolutely.
What drives our
I,
strength? And when we get to talking about that in sessions, over time, you'll kind of start seeing, okay, well, some of the themes that I pointed out, right? Well, even though I've got some economic stressors, even though I feel like I'm so different from anybody else in my circle, or
mm-hmm.
anybody else online, and even though there is political instability,
Mm-hmm.
this is who I am.
This is
And
who I
this is
am.
where I need to operate from in
Right.
order for me to be able to thrive, not just survive, because surviving, sometimes surviving is really just kind of like just hitting the surface. But I want to
Yes.
thrive. And in order for me to
Absolutely.
thrive, I've got to get back to who and whose I am.
Yes. And it helps to reduce the fear and anxiety that the world wants you to have.
That's right. That's
When you
right.
know your values, when you are rooted,
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm not saying things won't make you nervous.
Yes.
You are in flesh. We are human
Yeah,
beings.
we're human.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
But there is an assurance.
Hmm.
There is a confidence when you
Hmm.
know this is what I value, this is what important, this is who I am, this is who dwells in me.
That's right.
That doesn't you don't move
That's
when the
right.
world moves.
Right.
You're not shifting, and when
Mhm,
things are falling apart or appear to be falling apart or actually are falling apart,
mhm,
you're
mhm.
not falling apart.
That's right. That's right. Mhm,
You're in position. You stay kind of postured in the way that you need to remain postured in order to endure, right? And
mhm.
so it's a when you're grounded, you're right. When you're
When you're
grounded, you
grounded,
value.
yes, when you're grounded and you're
Yes,
centered on when you're centered on that thing, and whether or not it is, I don't know if there are some non-believers, whatever your thing is. I know for me, I know that if I can't do anything else, I have to trust in my hope and my faith. My hope and my faith is what keeps me strong. My hope and my faith is
absolutely.
what carries me through, And when I'm talking to my clients, I can't go all the way around that wheel and not stop at that spiritual. I
Yes.
have to stop at that spiritual part, because that spiritual part, we are spiritual beings. So if I
Yeah.
don't if I don't bring that into the conversation, then
Hmm.
I'm doing a disservice.
Absolutely. Even if you say, "Oh, I don't believe in that," I'm gonna bring it up though.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna bring
bring
it
it
up.
up.
You can tell me. You can tell me that, but as you say, I have to stop at that wheel. That's it's part of who we are.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
part of who we are, and having that understanding
That's right.
provides a greater sense of self.
That's right.
And I think that is what we work on
Mhm.
a lot with
Mhm.
individuals.
Mhm.
Who who, not just who are you, where does it all come from?
Yeah.
What is the source? Like,
Yeah.
how in times like these, how are you getting through?
Yep.
And for those who do, we talk about it all the time,
They'll
those who
say
open the
it.
door to faith,
Oh, they'll say it. They'll
they'll
say it.
say it.
And I
Yeah.
and I love when someone says, well, my mom and my grandma, they taught me, how to believe in God, how to pray. And I say, okay, well, guess what? That's a tool that you can use.
Yes.
I'd argue that that's the strongest tool that you can use because
Absolutely.
you're looking at me for, and I don't have all the answers. Like you said, I'm gonna be transparent. I don't always have all the answers, despite my heart wanting to really give you something that you can chew on for the next few days. Really, what you already got it.
Yes. You
You
have
know,
it.
you already
Yeah.
have it. So
And
I encourage that.
yes, yes. Because a good part of being able to say that we don't know the answer is because we're wanting you to look within.
Yes, yes,
We need you to look within.
right,
And part of the struggle that people are having is they don't want to look within because of
right,
some of the things that they've been through, some of the things that
right.
they have done or experienced.
Mhm,
And we're asking you to go beyond that layer. We're going to
mhm,
walk with you through that layer. But
right.
underneath even that is
Mhm,
what we're talking about.
right.
The part that the part that, like you said, fuels you,
Mhm.
right? And so in times like these where resources are low,
Oh,
where um, the world is providing a new fear tactic every day,
yes. Mhm, mhm.
there's got to be something. There has to be things within or things that you do that help to bring you through this because we're not, the
Mhm,
experts, the
mhm.
experts don't have it all for you.
No, no.
We don't have it all
And
for
I like
you.
what you said about that, individuals don't always wanna look within because we're
Hmm.
so accustomed to looking outward to find
We
things.
are. Yes. Say it again.
Oh my
Yes.
God, that just came. When you said it, I said because we're so used to looking outward to find it. If
Hmm.
if you don't know an answer to something, oh, I'll just pick up my phone and I'll ask Google. Or now,
Google.
now I'll just ask I won't even type it. I'll just speak it and say, hey, AI, can you tell
Hmm.
me this? And they'll just spit it out for you. And then guess what? You take that, and that's law because it
Run,
came off.
running, running. Listen, but
Right.
and some
Okay.
of it again, like we say,
It's
because
helpful
there's
in some
it's been
cases.
helpful.
Right. Mhm.
But what is that takes us in what is lacking, what it takes away is our ability to critically think. And when you're talking about getting well mentally,
Mhm.
you have critical thinking is
Yes.
part of it.
Yes.
It is part of it. And I think many struggle
Mhm.
because there's a gap in the way we had to critically think growing up
Right. Right.
versus how others have to critically think now. And this is not a put down. There's a
Mm-mm.
gap because things have changed. It has not been
So
required in the
much.
way that it was required for us, right?
Right. Mhm.
But in order to navigate to problem solve, right? The
Mhm.
ability to problem solve, when we see
Mhm.
clients come in and we're like, okay, well, what have you tried, right?
Right.
Well, I don't
Right.
know.
Not really. Nothing.
I don't, the ability to solve problems, to work through, walk through problems,
Mhm.
look for solutions,
Mhm.
critically think about a situation, evaluate it, sit and look at it, take it apart. What can I handle? What can I do?
Right.
Right? It's not the same.
Right.
And so, how do you, when it comes to your mental wellness, being well mentally,
Mhm.
everything feels like it's insurmountable. I can't get beyond that.
Yeah.
I can't get beyond that
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I can't climb that ladder of a thought to critically get to a space of like, oh, this might be a
This
solution.
might work. Right.
This
Right.
might
This might
work.
work. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Or even
Or
the courage to
or it
try.
might work, it might work until a certain point, and then I've got to go back and tweak it and find out what else,
Right.
because just because it stops working don't doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It did work for a little while, but it might
It
have run
did.
its course, and now it's time to figure out, okay, well, what's the next part of it?
Right. Doesn't mean it's broke. It's there's
Doesn't mean
another step.
right. Right.
And that's that critical thinking, because critical thinking breaks it down. There are steps in critical
Yes.
thinking,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so
Right.
to be able to say, okay, I can do this for this amount of time while and I got to look at all that's going on.
Right.
Okay, I have to make an adjustment. Might even have to pivot. Might have to add. Might have to take away. I have to do
Mhm.
something different at each
Mhm.
step and each level.
Yes.
And I think that's a big part of what's missing too when it
Absolutely.
comes to individuals trying to get help
Yeah.
for their mental health,
Yeah.
for their life in general.
Right.
But that is
Mhm.
something that I'm seeing
Mhm.
with clients. It's like we are let's look at the problems, right? Let's take this apart.
Mhm.
And it's because we get them that come in and kind of, you know, we vomit everything, right? They just
Right.
all of this,
And it's like, okay, so now what you gonna do with what I just said? What you gonna
right,
do? Mhm.
right. And it's
Mhm.
well, let's together,
Let's do
let's
it together.
together sort through some things,
Right.
right?
Right. Mhm.
And you know, we're joking about, but we love the opportunity to support people through the process. But we're also
Absolutely.
right. We're also acknowledging there are skills that we need to be
Mhm.
working on.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are things in times like these where we're so used to googling everything, we're so used to pulling up our phone, and I believe in,
Mhm.
you know, we're using
Mhm.
it now. I believe in
Use
using
the
these
resource when you have to, right?
absolutely.
Mhm.
But are we learning the things where we identify a deficit, because we talked about Johari window and the you know,
Mhm.
awareness of things and the connection, but then what
Yeah.
when we learn it,
Mhm.
because the next step is okay,
Mhm.
now let me look at how I can start to work on this.
Apply, right.
How can
Mhm.
I apply
Mhm.
what I'm learning?
Yeah.
What skills do I need to better connect, right? To not be judgmental, to not be, you
Right.
know, reactive, to not be, you know, to not withdraw, to not, what skills do I need
That's right.
in order to get better in these areas? And I
Right.
think for a lot of people, self-awareness is huge, and they're like, oh, I got it. I know why I do what I do. That's
Right.
great.
Okay, so now what do you do with that going forward?
Yes, we got to do
How
something with
How do we
we have to
and
do something.
how do we deal with when it feels uncomfortable? Because it's going to feel uncomfortable. The change
Yes.
is gonna feel uncomfortable. It's gonna feel like, uh, you're gonna feel that the butterflies in your stomach. You're gonna feel a little bit like you're probably not gonna want to do it because it's so different than what you're used to.
Yes.
It's so
Exactly.
different. And so for though, I want to also bring up something else too.
Hmm.
Um, Social supports are really important because the things that we do within our community help us navigate through sometimes discomfort because sometimes it might be a connection to someone who may have gone through something similar or they just have wisdom that they can offer you. And so here's what I like to encourage because now we're at the point where okay, we've talked about some of the things we see and we've talked about even some of the whys that we might be seeing this. So now what do we do with it? And something that I thought about, and it's been a thing for a very long time. I just don't think we talk enough about it. We don't encourage it enough in our young people. Sit and talk to someone who has wisdom.
Come on.
I mean, we look at the influencers of today on social
Hmm.
media. We're willing to absorb all of that, right? And we may or may not even really know that person. We may not have encountered that person in real life. But if you sit and talk with the folks who've kind of been there, done that, they are uh, the wise beings of our
Hmm.
community. And sometimes we get to, and it's like, how do I even connect with those people? Who are these people? They're in your local church,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
They're there and they're open to sharing with you. They welcome the opportunity to share with you. Go
Yes.
volunteer. Go get out and volunteer your time somewhere. We talk about this, right? Even within our profession, doing things that don't necessarily require you to be compensated.
Yes.
Volunteerism is an amazing way to touch the community in an impactful way as well. And you'll be
Absolutely.
surprised at how much you'll learn from people who are literally just sitting and waiting for for somebody to connect with them, you know. They
Yes.
welcome the connection, but why not while connecting, why not make it worth your while, you know?
Absolutely.
and and
Absolutely.
and, and let that time count for something. Let someone teach you something. I My husband all the time he references. My husband used to have a shop, and this older gentleman used to come to the shop and
Hmm.
literally talk to my husband about life stuff.
Mm.
Some
Hmm.
of the things that my husband tells me now, he's like, I learned it from that. You know, we always talk
Wow.
the old wise man. You know, he always will reference.
Uh-huh.
I learned this
Uh-huh.
from that old wise man, and he'll even say, I remember the old wise man told me, and he'll just rat off, you know, some of the famous lines that he said.
Right.
These are our golden nuggets that are
Yes.
they're laden all within our community. We just bypass it every day because it's not moving as fast as Google.
Exactly. And I love that. We're actually in our women's ministry. We're studying the book of Ruth.
Hmm.
And part of it is that we are, there are Ruths and Naomi's. So
Right.
the Naomi's will provide some wisdom to the Ruth, but also the Ruths will be able to just share their insight and what, they're experiencing with the Naomi's. And so
Yeah,
the goal is to bridge the gap between the generations and being
right.
able to share that wisdom. That's part of what we're doing this year in the women's ministry. But it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be, if you don't have a ministry,
Right,
we always encourage connecting
right, right,
with a
right.
ministry that is rooted in
Right
Jesus.
in your community,
Uh,
just come on, just yeah,
yeah,
just get out there. But if it's not like you said, if it's not the local church, okay, well, what do you have? Well,
exactly.
what is within your, right there at your fingertips that you can reach out and touch, you know?
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. And I think that we're getting back to that element of connection we talked about before, and we continue to talk about,
Mhm.
because it's so vital, and we know that is what is missing in a lot of areas.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
lot of our clients that come in, um, their connections are some of their connections are harmful. We'll say that.
Yes.
Um, some of their connections have been severed because of abuse and trauma. And so it has altered how they connect or whether or not they want to connect.
They want to, right? The desire is gone. Mhm.
And so when you look at trying to get into the community and connect with others, through volunteerism and things of that nature, I think, and you can tell me if you disagree, I think it provides kind of a different safeguard to be
Mhm.
able to connect without it not necessarily being an intimate level relationship
Right.
where someone who has experienced difficulty with connecting
Mhm. Mhm.
can put forth some effort to making some connections without the same fears,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
so I think that's why also that's a great recommendation, because
Absolutely.
we know who's coming into our office, right? We
Right.
know things about them that they have shared with
Mhm.
us that we totally understand why they don't want to connect with other people.
Right.
Uh, but also we understand the power of connection,
What
what
it
it does,
does. Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that it is necessary,
Mhm.
um, and that it is part of the healing process,
It
right?
is. It's
We often,
so it's universal. It's
yes,
universal through, the age the different age brackets,
yep,
tax brackets. I
yes,
mean,
no matter what,
different various backgrounds, really no when you're in these spaces where you are in your community and it could be, I mean, and it literally could be anything, I mean, I used to do Meals on Wheels, and
mm,
I would set the time,
mm-hmm.
and I would go out and I deliver, and but the people that I met,
Yeah,
these individuals, just to see a smiling face,
mm-hmm.
it would literally do something for them. And it
Yes,
was an intrinsic reward for me because all I wanted to do was just brighten up someone's day, and
absolutely,
whether or not they got a chance to get out and feel the sun on their skin that day, at least they felt a warm smile.
Yes, yes.
You
And
know?
we've seen the opposite. We've seen for those who are not connecting what it does.
Yeah,
You know, we've
yeah.
seen how in young folks who are
Mhm.
more inclined to be on devices and
Yeah,
have struggled socially. And we talked about that last time.
right.
But we've also seen it in adults and how relationships
Yeah,
they're not they're not happening.
yeah,
They're not
yeah.
happening. Or they are
They're so
very
limited,
limited
so
and even
limited.
superficial at times.
Mhm.
Like it's
Yep,
hard to really, or it's a connection through trauma, and we know what that can look like and how that can negatively affect people when it's more of a trauma bond than anything else.
right.
Um, but the idea that connection is part of healing, people are part of the healing process. There's a lot that can happen in isolation, but the healing process will not happen
No,
completely
no, 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 and
because
it's almost stifled in
yes,
isolation.
yes,
Mm.
that you will it will be capped at a
Mhm.
certain and I think it really gets capped at the awareness piece. Like you learn
Yep.
about yourself in isolation,
Mhm,
right? You
mhm.
learn some things, but
Right,
it's not until you're able to re-enter the community, so to speak,
right.
that you're able to then work through it because that's where it's going to be triggered. That's
That's
where
where
you're going to
exactly. That's right. Right, putting it into practice, applying what you've learned, that's when you really get to see, "Okay, well, have I grown from that?"
exactly.
Have I really dealt with it? Because in self, there might be a certain comfort. In self, there
Yes.
might be a certain, "Okay, well, yeah, I've thought about it," but,
Hmm. Hmm.
when you get in
It's
front of
safe over
people.
here though.
Right, it's safe over here. I feel real
Uh-huh.
good. But then when you get around
I'm
people who
I'm
can
fine.
really,
Yeah.
yes, can really say, "Well, I think that you're really working on that, but, maybe try this too."
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe try this too.
Maybe try this too.
Especially if it's someone who cares,
Who cares? Right,
who genuinely cares.
right.
And part of that learning and getting back in connection is learning the
Mhm.
authenticity of people,
Of people.
right? And
Right.
sometimes we have to learn that. Again, I always use the term observation deck. Learn from the observation deck.
Mhm.
Don't be so self-critical, because you
Yeah.
have to see what authenticity looks like in other people. And
Right.
everybody that presents themselves to be true is not always true.
It's not always true. Yeah.
And those are lessons that we're going to learn in community, in this life. It's part of
Mhm.
this life, right?
Mhm.
It's part of what we're here for is
Mhm.
connection.
That's right.
And the solutions, like we're talking about, the solutions are within and within others.
Yes.
So part of it, we have to tap into what we possess,
Mhm.
but then also the connections that are going to help us are
Keyword help.
necessary as well. Help.
Keyword help. The connections that
Yes,
are gonna help.
correct. We want
That's
to be
right.
clear that they are helping
Mhm. They're
connections, not harm.
helping.
Yes, yes. Harming connections are easy, because
Yeah.
they feel familiar, right?
Right. Mhm.
I know this, right?
Mhm.
And so yes. So what are we sharing that we feel in times like these? Folks need to be connecting,
That's right.
need to be looking within,
Mhm. Mhm.
understanding what they possess.
Yep.
What
Knowing
else are you
knowing
saying?
knowing thyself. Yeah, knowing thyself is really important. I also think that within knowing yourself, that self-awareness, a lot of times we kinda go straight to characteristics, right? But, like, I wanna always, and because of the nature of what we do, I'm gonna always go
Hmm.
into feelings, right? So,
Yes. Hmm.
um, something that I do with my clients, and this is here's the free chicken, right? If you get nothing
Hmm.
else from this podcast, get this. Data informed, data informed treatment, or just at the simplest form, symptom tracking,
Mm.
okay? Knowing the symptoms of what you're feeling and being able to say, and you can do this in journaling, you can do this in how you reflect. I know some people, we talk about technology, right? Okay, so here's a way to use reflection in technology. You can even do the audio journaling now, so
Hmm.
you can talking about how you feel. If you don't want to write it, just talk about how you feel. It captured the
Mhm.
date, time, and all of those things, so you can go back and listen to it. So you can see, okay, have I really grown from that, or am I still stuck in that same place? And if
Yes.
I am, what's keeping me stuck in this same place? So symptom tracking is really important, and we do that in treatment all the time.
Mhm.
Your therapists are tracking your symptoms. They might not be visually doing it, but we're
Mhm.
tracking your symptoms. It's something that you can do on your own. So
Yes.
having that real time feedback in the moment, so that you can actually have that post reflection. um
Yes. Yes.
and even, I just kind of dealt with this myself, is that I didn't understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling. I didn't understand it. I couldn't really put my finger on it. Like, I was still going through my day, just kind of doing. But then I reflected. I kind of had a post reflection as I looked at, for the last couple of months. Here's where I've been, and the epiphany came, and I said, "Oh, this is why." This makes sense. This is why. So I was able to really kind of sit in my own, symptoms, and then reflect in a way that was really helpful. Okay, so now that I know what it is, like you say, now I can apply it. And now that I'm aware of it, I can, moderate, if you will. Um,
Exactly.
so having that real time feedback in the moment, so that's your, symptom tracking and understanding, okay, how long has this been going on? To what degree is it? So is it worse on the weekends when I'm, at home by myself, or
Mhm.
is it worse when I'm at work and I'm having so many demands placed upon me? So that is a way to really understand self and become aware of what you're feeling. And
Mhm.
I'm talking about symptom tracking. I'm talking about, I even want to know, is it like, it doesn't have to be things that are happening right there in that moment, because what we don't realize is that, stress response happens immediately, but it
Mhm.
also happens over time as well. So,
Yeah.
it could be something as long as short. I'm gonna say it could be something as short as some pain in your chest, or some feelings in your stomach, some tightness in your back. But it can be something as long as a diminished immune system over the last few weeks. you know
Yes.
and so we're not just talking about, like, right here in this moment. But that's why I say symptom tracking is really important, because you get to see over time what's going on with my body, and then you can ask the question and peel back those layers. Why was that going on? What was happening? Okay, what was the stimulus? What was the, you know all right.
Mhm.
um another point, and I'm going to kind of start wrapping up. Somatic or sensory awareness, right? So
Mhm.
feeling when their heart is racing, and what brought about that? Was it something that someone said? Was it a person who walked in the room? Was it is it around this time of the calendar year that you're kind of, the month? Is it the time of
Mhm.
the month that you're really kind of feeling that anxious feeling?
Mhm.
And understanding, like, what that is, those somatic feelings. And so a lot of times we are bringing some somatic therapy interventions into our session, so I can teach clients what that looks like. Okay, so there's some
Yes.
different things that we could do to be aware of what our body is doing, where we feel it in our body, and being able to relieve that stress. As you kind of see me, I'm kind of flexing my
Mhm.
own self
Mhm.
here, just kind of, and I do that because there's something that's happening. I
Yes.
feel those nerve endings kind of ignite, kind of being stimulated, right? And so
Mhm.
all of those things are a part of the day-to-day healing process. We know that we're living in these uncertain times, and we've been
Mhm.
living in them for quite a long time. So imagine what that's doing to our bodies, you know,
Yes.
over
Yes.
time, over the last few years. Imagine what that is doing to our bodies, the chemical releases, the cortisol releases that are happening in our bodies, that has now become the baseline. That's now
Mhm.
become the baseline. So imagine what that's doing. So quite
Yeah.
naturally, you're talking about some different health concerns and challenges that you almost kind of can't explain. But I just want us to
Mhm.
become a little bit more familiar and aware with what's going on with us, and what is within us. And so I
Mhm.
kind of, if I could put it in a nutshell, in times like these, self-awareness and connection are the
Yes.
two things that you have control over.
Yes. Yes. And emphasizing you have control over.
You have control over these
Yeah.
things.
Yes.
And coming to talk to mental health professionals is amazing, and we want you to keep doing that as long as you can, and as long as the resources are there. We are here for you. But in the times where these resources become diminished or unavailable, we still want to empower you that you have what it takes within you. Before you even open your mouth to talk to anybody, you have what is within you to endure and to make it through times like these.
Yeah.
And that starts with self-awareness and
Hmm.
connection.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. I think um, you have sealed that with some very encouraging words, but also left. I feel leave the people with some homework. So
Okay.
you have left leave the people with some homework of like these are things that you need to you go ahead and do now, right? Go
Yeah.
ahead and start doing. Because in times like these, we haven't even seen the worst of times like these, right? Because
Right.
and this is again, we are women of faith, so we
Yeah.
know that there are dark days.
Yes.
There are seasons that get darker.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
in times like these, and times like those dark days, there have got to be some things you already have that
Right.
you've already started doing, you know,
Right.
that you're sharing with the people
Hmm.
that they can take when they can't reach you,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
And
Mhm.
to emphasize another point you made a little while ago, um, some things, a lot of things that seem very simple work. You just have to work them.
Yes.
People will say, well, journaling doesn't work for me. When did you journal? Well, I didn't do it. I just know I don't like.
Right. I don't like writing. Okay. Well,
Okay, okay. So we
okay.
give you the idea of the voice note. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. And again, I'm not taking away from stress does help us, does cause us to forget. We're hyper
Right.
focused on the problem and not the solutions.
Right.
Um, but I think a big part of the confusion is that a lot of the solutions are simpler
Hmm.
than people think that they are,
Yes.
but they require consistency and endurance.
Yes. Yes.
And because they
Absolutely.
require consistency and endurance, the thought is that they don't work.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that's not it.
Something else that's coming to me is
Mm-hmm.
is this. If you are a person who comes to therapy, if you are a person who's currently actively in therapy, here's just a little nugget. Bring your journal, your book, bring your notebooks to therapy, and begin to kind of write down some of these things that you're learning in
Yeah.
therapy, almost like how when we go to church on Sunday, we're kind of
Mm-hmm.
sitting and we've got our book and we've taken our notes because we want to be able
Yes.
to use it as a reference, right? I say do something very similar to in therapy, because in the times where it gets dark and it
Yes.
gets really, really challenging, these become almost like your reminders of what you've kind of had exposure to, but maybe it didn't apply at that moment because you were kind of going along to get along.
Yeah.
But now things have changed. Maybe access has changed. You might not be able to get into therapy as often.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be able, you might not be in a space. Maybe you've relocated and in between trying to, seek therapy from ending therapy one treatment and start another. These are your notes that you can use
Yes.
and use that. And even if you take notes, and then maybe for the person who doesn't have insurance, you can kind of share with them what you've learned. And so
Yes.
then that wisdom doesn't stop, or that those tools, they don't just stop with that individual person. Maybe that individual person might be the conduit to bring a resource to someone who otherwise may not have access to, go sit
Exactly.
in a therapist's office and talk for
Exactly.
for a few months.
Yeah.
So I'd say we have so much within us that we can do to help bridge the gaps. It's just that we haven't tapped into a lot of it just yet. Because there's always more, right? There's always something else that we can do.
Yeah.
Always. And
Yes.
and it doesn't cost anything extra. It doesn't
Mm-mm.
cost, maybe just a little bit of time, but you're
Right.
gonna be scrolling anyway on your phone. So like let's let's
Right.
use that time that we have to connect.
Yes. Let's refocus it. Yes.
Yes, let's shift
Yeah.
it. And so
Yeah.
in times like these, we really do want to we want to promote and empower people to use what you have already in you.
Yes. Yes. Use what you have. Use what you have. Use what you have. And I want to, speaking for a moment to the person who feels empty. Um, it's a feeling. It is
Mhm.
not the truth, right?
Right.
You feel empty more than likely because there's been a numbing of what is actually there,
Mhm.
good, bad, or ugly.
Mhm.
You have learned to numb, you have learned to bury, you have learned to ignore, um, for whatever reasons have happened, things that have happened in your life. Those have been your coping mechanisms. And so
Mhm.
today you're saying, ain't nothing in me, I'm empty. You're not empty.
Yeah.
You're not empty.
Yeah.
What has to happen though is a willingness to go in and to go through,
Yeah.
because there was a reason you were numbing. There's a reason why you were ignoring.
Mhm.
And within the safe confines of a therapeutic space, allow someone to walk with you through that.
Yeah. Mhm.
The Most of the things that we don't want to do are the things that are going to free us. Those are the things that are going to free us. The things that we don't want to do is what's going to free us.
Oh,
And until we are willing to do them, we're going to continue to feel like we have nothing to look forward to, we don't possess anything. Because the thing about, and we always say it jokingly when we say God don't make no junk,
yeah. Right.
it's not a joke,
Right. No,
right?
it's real.
Right. And
It's real.
if in the beginning he blew breath into us in order for us, you know what I'm saying? He touched in order for us. He spoke in order for life to
Mhm.
come, right?
Mhm.
He breathed his breath. There's no way that there's nothing in you.
Right. Right. Right.
There's everything in you. The
Mhm.
essence of God, after he
Mhm.
blew his breath, is in you. So there's nothing, you're never empty,
Mm.
but you have buried the good.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
buried the tools. You have
Mhm.
decided because of your experiences that you don't matter, nothing matters.
That's right.
And what we're encouraging today in times like these, go within,
Mhm.
tap in with connection, find a local place to, whether you
Serve.
volunteer, serve,
Yes.
connect with a body of Christ,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And that doesn't mean you have to go there to be something or to be seen.
Right.
Receive the
Just
poor,
be in the space.
right? And then allow for God to continue to pour and to get out
Until you
some of those things that need to come out. But also, if you are able to access services, check and see what services are near you, what providers take your insurance. If you don't have insurance, tap into what resources might be available like this online that just provide support or provide teachings. Go get back to the library. Get back to the library and open a solid book. You can smell the pages. You can
Mhm.
start to take notes. Don't write it in people book, but take
Right.
notes. And teach yourself the skills that you need in order to move through these things if you don't have access, because we need you healthy and whole,
That's right.
and
That's
we're
right.
just here to help. But if you need to tap into some other resources in order to do that, tap into them. An online Bible study, an online book club, and
Right. Right.
tap in. Don't do 10 million things, but find a couple that meet the need,
That
and
serve
you
you. Yeah.
that serve you and you can grow with.
Mhm.
Um, And so we encourage you in times like these where things on the outside look terrible and you can't seem to find the same solutions that you used to because you were always looking outside of yourself. It is a season to understand your core values, to understand who you are, whose you are,
That's right.
and be able to walk boldly in this season and go after your health
Yeah.
holistically. When you say that wheel, there's a wheel that we look at,
That's right.
the dimensions of our life
Yeah.
that include our spirit, that include our physical health, our mind, our finances, our education, our career. It includes all these things. I think I've shared the wheel on the page. I'll share it again. But
Yeah.
look at it. Self assessment. My pastor says it all the time. You need to take a self assessment, self inventory. He says it
There,
all.
yeah, that's what that is. And
Yeah.
I would even encourage individuals, if you, when we share that wheel, really take a look at that wheel and say, what is within my power to change
Yes.
related to anyone? It doesn't have to be
Yes.
all of them, because all of
That.
them is a lot at one time.
Yes.
What's one little thing that's within my power to change, and what can I do to improve this area? And it could be something very small. I say all the time, and we know this, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One
It's
bite at a
one
time.
little bite at a time, one little step at a time. And then over time, you see all of your progress, and you're like, oh, I did that. Oh,
Right.
I really did help. I helped myself, you know. And
Yeah.
when you know that you can do something, because it's easy to say, "Oh, I've done everything I can," but then when you sit in front of somebody and they say, "Well, have you tried this?" and you're like, "I ain't never tried
No. No, I didn't
that."
even think of that. Yeah. We've Most of us have never tried everything we could.
Exactly.
Because you by yourself will not think of everything that you could do.
Yes. Yes.
You will not. So
Mhm.
yeah, yes, we are encouraging this morning, and we're hoping that you are hearing this morning that in times like these, the answers dwell within. When resources are limited, tap into something new. You got to do something different in order to get something different from it.
That's right.
Change comes when you make some changes.
That's right.
And so we are available to support you. As always, I'll leave Miss Yvonne's. I think, what did I leave last time? It might have been the
Our
agency
agency, yeah, our agency
agency.
website. And so all
Yes.
you do is you go on, if you are in the Hampton Roads area, specifically, I'm in Hampton, Newport News, the peninsula. I'd love to see you. I'd love to serve you. I'd love to help walk through this with you. I know, in, the theme in times like these, because that's almost like our blanket statement that we
Mm-hmm.
know it's difficult. And so
Yes.
having someone to walk with, and I always tell people, listen, I'm a therapist, but I too have a therapist, right? So because we want to make sure that we all
Love it.
understand that we all need someone at some
Yeah.
point in time.
Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely. In times like these, have a chat at your own house. As I say, a kitchen table conversation, um, about everybody's mental health. Look at those areas of your life as Miss Yvonne has shared.
Mhm.
Um, and really look at what you can do, as she's encouraged us this morning. And I'm always excited to have her. It won't be her last time.
I
Um,
love coming over here. Seeds of Love
yeah,
is amazing. I love everything that you all
absolutely.
are doing on this side. So yeah, I
We
welcome the opportunity.
Great, great. We appreciate you. We always look forward to having you in the space, and adding your is more than 2 cents. You know the saying is 2 cents, but it's more
Right?
than 2 cents.
It might be about
Um,
5.
it's a little bit more than that. It's a little bit more than that. But being able to see the passion that you have for people. Thank you, Miss Wilson. It having the passion for people and the heart to serve, but also the skill. And we're praying for you as you are preparing for another level of your career. We want to say ministry, right? But it's
Ministry. It
it's
is.
career.
It is. This is my ministry, my life
Yeah.
ministry.
Yes, as you're preparing for another level, I know that I know that the people that you see now, I personally know that you have a great impact. But I also feel that this step will allow you to reach in ways that you have always dreamt of, but things that you probably never even conceive of. And so I just take a few minutes to speak life into you, so that you know that you are a change agent in a way that the world needs, and your compassion for people is is healing, not just to experience but just to hear about. And so when the days get difficult and things get dark, know that all things work together for your good,
Mm,
and that greater is coming because you have been consistent and you have endured. And so blessings, I just feel ain't no other way that
that's right.
this is where you're supposed to be.
That's right. And I feel it. I feel it.
And
He breathed when he breathed life into me. He said, I want you to talk to the folks." And so that's what
yeah,
I've been doing.
yes, exactly. Yes. And that's the power of knowing who you are.
Ooh.
When you know who you are, when the
No,
days get dark, you can say, He breathed this in me.
this is what he
And
told
I
me to
know I'm
do.
supposed to be
That's
here.
right. That's right.
Absolutely.
That's
We're
right.
supposed to be here. Seeds of Love is here for you. Miss Yvonne Brooks is here for you. And again, I will make sure that the website is in the, under the post after we're done. But for those of you that were able to join us live, thank you so much for being
Ooh,
here. 1, 2, 3, 5, 700, whatever sees the post, we're grateful for your presence. Um, and I do like prayer. So I'm going to go ahead and pray out. I'm a little, yeah, a little churchy, I guess. But God, we just thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation this morning. Our prayer is that it reaches the ears of those who need to hear it. Our prayer is also that in times like these, we recognize who we are and whose we are, that we continue to walk according to your will, that where we are out of alignment, God, that we step into your will and your alignment for our lives. We ask that you continue to bless and cover the ministry, the service, the calling on Miss Brooks' life, and that whatever you have placed in her heart for this season, whatever you have put in her family's path for this season, that you'll continue to bless. We speak increase and we declare that it's going to be a season that is good. I didn't say easy, but a season that is good because it's rooted in you, God. We have faith that you're going to continue to make resources available because you are the resource, God. We know that we can tap into you, and then we can do all things through you, not around you, not without you, but through you. We can do all things. So we place all of our current situations, this nation, in your hands, God, and we ask for your will to be done. We ask that the things, the issues that are on your heart, that we continue to hear them, that you drop them into our spirits, that we cover them in prayer, and that if you have resources that we are able to create and bring forth, Lord, that you speak those into our ears, into our hearts as we sleep. Help us, give us downloads, Lord, so that we can reach the people that need to be reached. We have a desire to serve in love according to your will and according to your word. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
amen.
Amen. Have a great day, everyone. Miss Yvonne, thank you again.
Yes.
Have a
Yes,
wonderful day.
absolutely. You all have a wonderful day and enjoy this beautiful sunlight that he has given us and
Yeah,
his new mercies. Look, every day.
absolutely. It's spring.
Okay. That's
All right.
right.
See y'all later.